Hola! It is very important to know the complete history of mankind, because without this knowledge, we cannot understand why we are experiencing the current madness. Humanity is in a monumental dead end. In reality, it is an evolutionary crisis. Instead of fighting this process, why not make a 180-degree turn in the other direction? Yes, there is a solution. Hola, from Colombia. With the present great world confusion, I wish to do my part to accelerate the evolution of human consciousness. Please help by subscribing and sharing these videos. Thank you. The Occult Story of the Diabolic Mafia Khazar, Part 2. The infiltration and taking hostage of Judaism by the Khazarian Mafia is legendary, although their type of Judaism has nothing to do with the Judaism of the Torah. It is a clearly misguided form of Judaism that deserves the name of Babylonian Talmudism, or cult of Baal, cult of Moloch, cult of the owl, or more precisely, of the synagogue of Satan. Known participants of the ceremony. Every summer in July, the top leaders of the Khazarian Mafia and their subjects meet in Bohemian Grove, in the redwood forests near San Francisco, California, to discuss and decide on U.S. government policies for the coming year. It is a fact that many of the high-level policies of the U.S. government are negotiated against the backdrop of ritual child sacrifice. Dark secrets inside Bohemian Grove. Link below. Some call this Babylonian Talmudism, occult Satanism, or Luciferism of the super elite, or those who refer to themselves as the Illuminati. Whether you like it or not, it is a fact that this very moment, the Khazarian Mafia is running nearly all institutions of the U.S. government, including Congress, the judiciary, and the Supreme Court. It was President George Washington who warned that Freemasonry had been infiltrated and held hostage by Satanists, using it as a cover, and we now know that this development continued until the higher degrees of Freemasonry have been completely occupied by the Khazarian Mafia, which uses it to obtain political favors and special privileges from other Freemasons in high positions. The infiltration of religions by the Khazarian Mafia was not limited to Judaism. The heads of the Khazarian Mafia also infiltrated most of Christendom, and this infiltration produced what is called Christian Zionism, based on well-positioned lies. The first big lie is that the Jews living in Israel are the brothers and sisters of Jesus Christ, and therefore all Christians must submit to them as the chosen people of God. Of course, we know there are many issues with this claim by the Israelis to be directly related to Jesus of Nazareth. Why? Because recent genetic research from Johns Hopkins University shows that almost 97.5% of Jews living in Israel have absolutely no Hebrew blood, while nearly 80% of Palestinians have ancient Hebrew blood. So we know for sure that the Israeli Jews are not Semites at all, but are Khazars and Ashkenazi of Central Europe, while the Palestinians are genuine Semites. This means that the Israelis are the greatest anti-Semites in the world and have no ancestral rights to Palestine. The heads of the Khazarian Mafia have also infiltrated and held part of Islam hostage. This is what the heads of the Khazarian Mafia can do because they have absolute power over the people, using religion as a cover for their incredible fascist totalitarianism, and have, thanks to the support of the Khazar Mafia banksters of the Rothschilds, access to unlimited currency created to buy and control most politicians and members of governments. In order to infiltrate and use these groups as effectively as they have done for centuries, the Khazarian Mafia bosses have used their subtle ability to show two faces. This rare aptitude for success in politics has been called the Janus principle, which is to show a caring and protective face in public, but which is associated with a deep, soulless, inhuman malevolence so enormous that it is unimaginable to most normal humans who have a soul. Bibi Netanyahu is the operational leader of the Khazarian Mafia and has a long history as a KGB agent before the collapse of the Soviet Union. The Rothschild Khazarian Mafia was the initial source of Bolshevism, which is nothing more than a cover of Babylonian Talmudism, expressed in the form of racist and malicious Judaic tribalism. One of the hallmarks of this Khazar Bolshevik Mafia is the ruthless vengeance it exerts on those who thwart its plans. It is the purpose of their lives to take revenge on their enemies, who are the Christians and Muslims, whom they call Goyim, which in their eyes means cattle to be slaughtered. As we mentioned in part 1, the Rothschild Khazarian Mafia took ruthless revenge against Russia in 1917 by causing the world's largest bloodbath in the wake of torture, rape, and mass murder. During the Bolshevik regime in Russia, they carried out the mass murder of around 100 million innocent Russians and Ukrainian citizens, including the Tsar and his entire family. Full disclosure of the list of genocides and crimes against humanity in most of the world's societies is now underway through internet and word of mouth, and can no longer be prevented or stopped by the Khazarian Mafia. Yes, the heads of the Khazarian Mafia were very clever in creating these two mind-controlled triggers of the words Holocaust and anti-Semitism, intended to immediately block any criticism of the Jews who were going to provide for the needs of the Khazarian Mafia in the whole world for years to come. Yes, they created the term conspiracy theory in order to ridicule anyone who comes out against their wrongdoing. Ah, you are one of those who believes in this famous conspiracy theory, you are told with an air of mockery and superiority, to which I reply that this is not a theory, but a fact that they simply do not know. Just because the large majority are wrong does not make them right. Yes, it was a terrible thing for all wealthy Jews linked to the Khazarian Mafia to leave Germany before the war and abandon the middle and lower class Jews to their fate, to be rounded up and led into the labor camps where they were forced to serve the Nazi war machine. As terrible as it was, remember that it was organized by the Jews at the top of the pyramid who had sold themselves to the Khazarian Rothschild Mafia. And if you consider that almost 75 million people were killed in World War II, the figure of 200,000 is only a fraction of the whole. If you consider the official figure, it is 5% of losses. These are the same Khazarian mafia families who infiltrated and hold America hostage and want to bring the same fate to our families after turning America into an Israeli police state, their new Gaza, the largest open-air prison camp of the world. These Khazarian mafia leaders want to make Americans their new Palestinians and strip all the wealth, all the real estate, and all movable property before gradually eliminating 90% and keep only 10% as slaves under mind control at their service. They were close to accomplishing this during the false H1N1 epidemic. Fortunately, whistleblowers have emerged around the world. There were FEMA camps waiting and an unimaginable amount of black plastic coffins. Note to the US military and police, most of whom are now trained by the Anti-Defamation League, ADL, an offshoot of the Israeli B'nai B'rith, as occupying anti-terrorist forces. When are you going to wake up and stop being used as cannon fodder by the Khazarian Mafia to slaughter the enemies of Israel? Why die for less than nothing for a particularly malicious organized crime cabal? The way in which American soldiers have been lied to, ripped off, and mentally controlled, used as cannon fodder is absolutely disgusting, and all Americans should be furious about it, especially the soldiers. When will American soldiers wake up and start refusing to obey these illegal, unconstitutional orders to commit war crimes and crimes against humanity? And when will they refuse to invade foreign countries that have never assaulted anyone in the least? And now, are they going to succeed with this COVIDian pandemic? It is extremely important to know the history of mankind, because without this knowledge, we cannot understand why we are experiencing the current madness. Humanity is in a monumental dead end. This is an evolutionary crisis. It is the end of the human species, the end of the intelligent animal. Each individual must make the choice to stop participating and nurturing this horrible illusion, which we believe to be our reality. It is time to dream about the next step, the new Judaic species. We have to see the gift that this pandemic represents. Thanks to it, an awakening of consciousness is taking place. Some of us focus on an inner revolution, while others take to the streets. To each his own solution. The important thing is not to fall into inertia and depression. We are in the midst of this pivotal time where the old world is still apparent as the new divine matter grows within our very bodies. We forget our spiritual purpose and become outraged at the lies of our politicians about the COVIDian situation, when the time has come for the next step of human destiny, the new Judaic species. Will you choose to align with the divine plan or the Luciferian plan? The only solution is very simple. I must connect to my true self, my soul. Easy to say, not so easy to do. Please go into action now and make the choice between listening to your ego-mendacious mind and the external authorities, or listening to your soul, the internal authority. I consult and offer tools so that you can find your individual solution by making contact with your soul. Your soul will then effectively guide you through the upcoming, long-lasting, turbulent transition. Infinite love.